Yes, and welcome to Middle-earth Talk Radio. I'm your host, Hawke, and unfortunately today I won't be having a co-host. Michael is on the road and unavailable to get internet to join in. Might be a week or two before he joins us. And I didn't have a chance to line up some other co-hosts. There are some other people who, special guests and co-hosts, who would be interested in being on the show, but it was a busy week. We will still cover a little bit today. It might be a shorter show. And today's probably going to be more of a role-playing gaming focus, though I will mention a few other tangents. For those of you who download this later, who aren't witnessing the live broadcast, realize that this is broadcast live every Sunday, noon Pacific time, through Google Plus and also on the youtube.com/Middle-earth Radio channel. So you can watch us live during the Sunday broadcast, join us in chat in the IRC chat rooms, either through merp.com, middleearthtalk.com, middleearthradio.com, the OneRing.net's IRC, or even the geekandsundry.com's IRC. And also I try to be on Facebook, and if you friended us there, we have about 700 friends so far under Tolkien Scholars for Facebook. Friend us there, and I also try to watch the chat there. And we do a live interactive Q&A as appropriate. Some of the topics going to cover today will be a brief bit about Neal Stephenson's REAMDE book. He's also written books like Cryptonomicon and Snow Crash and such. Some of you may be familiar with his work, and this actually will tie in with Tolkien. And then a brief little mention of a paper I did last year on Tolkien and trees. A few people were asking more about that. And then finally, the new adventure modules for the One Ring role-playing game by Cubicle 7. And I just got it this week, and we'll discuss that briefly. A little bit more about the One Ring role-playing game, and also an event coming up this December we'll give you a quick rundown about. So we'll start with, this is a brief bit, I haven't read this yet, but my girlfriend, Katie, was just telling me she's been reading REAMDE by Neal Stephenson. That's R-E-M-D-E, and it has highlighted letters for read me, a little play on words. And in it, apparently, it discusses role-playing gaming, because this is about massive multiplayer online role-playing games, MMORPGs, and Tolkien, apparently. Now, I don't have this book yet. I'm going to go ahead and acquire it this week, and I'll try to hurry and read through it, and maybe by the next show I can have a little more feedback. But apparently he keeps referring to both Tolkien and role-playing games throughout. And I guess the premise is that it's a virus that attacks massive multiplayer online role-playing gamers, steals their gold, which then translates to real money, and then the whole mystery behind that and trying to track down the person responsible for the virus. So that'll be interesting. She says it's been a good read, and I look forward to checking that out. And if any of you have read that, love to hear back. So that's REAMDE by Neal Stephenson, and apparently it refers to, from time to time, both Tolkien and role-playing games. I've also mentioned in some previous shows, and also back at Tolkien Moot last year, about a paper I did on Tolkien and trees. This is originally a paper I did a few years ago at Eastern Washington University, and then worked on and enhanced after the fact. And then the UK Tolkien Society asked for input, and they just happened to be asking about Tolkien and nature and trees. So I had the perfect paper, submitted it, and they read that at their annual gathering. And they're supposed to compile that into a book at some point, although they said there's a long delay. And that paper is available on the tolkienscholars.org website or the tolkienmoot.com website, either place you can get it. And then I did a reading last year at the convention at Tolkien Moot of the paper, so if you want to just have it read to you, the audio and the video are downloadable at the tolkienmoot.org website, if you would care to do it that way rather than read it yourself. And so there's those quick little bits, and then again we'll be talking about a special event coming up this December we'll talk about later. Now, something that just arrived in the mail is from Cubicle 7, the One Ring role-playing game, new adventure module called Tales from Wilderland. And it's actually 7 adventures included in this, all set in the Wilderland area. That's all around the greater Mirkwood area. So using the TOR map, the One Ring role-playing game map, we'll cover different areas. So you see here, let's see, get that balanced. We have Greater Mirkwood, Lonely Mountain, Asgaroth, Dale, etc. Misty Mountains, Shire over here. Get a quick idea from their map. This is from the One Ring core set. And I'm going to just read a few brief passages. I haven't had a chance. I just got this a couple of days ago. And I'm still waiting for the Game Master screen to arrive at some point as well. So I'll give you a quick rundown. It says, this is by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan with Francesco Nipotello. Nipotello is the creator of TOR, the main author of it. And I'm just going to read the intro to you, and you can go to the Cubicle 7 website and order this as well. This book contains 7 ready-to-play adventures, complete scenarios that can be played separately or as a mini-campaign spanning across a number of years. All the adventures are set in the years after 2946. They take place in the greater Wilderland area, as I mentioned. There's a wealth of background material that expands the setting contained in the core set, and should prove useful to lore masters and players alike, even after all the adventures have been played through. So some real source material there. The first adventure takes the companions from Lake Town across the breadth of Mirkwood, while the following 4 are set west of the forest. The latter 2 take place in Dale and the northern regions beyond the Lonely Mountain. The adventures are presented in order of increasing difficulty, while the first 4 adventures can be tackled by a group of relatively inexperienced adventurers. The following ones offer a greater challenge. And the quick rundown of each adventure: don't leave the path. The companions find adventure outside Lake Town and are given the chance to discover why even the hardiest of adventurers shun the forest of Mirkwood and its depths. In the process, they go and see elves, meet a crazed hermit, and stumble into a wood of ancient and angry trees. And that reminds me, last year's campaign, the theme was Tolkien and trees, so we actually did an adventure with angry Ents and Hjorns and such, and that's available on EARPG.com if you want to check out that adventure. The second adventure is Of Leaves and Stewed Hobbit. The company discovers the Easterly Inn, a piece of the Shire and the land of the Bjornings. But the wild is still the wild, and it takes more than hobbit cooking to keep adventurers at bay. In no time, the companions find themselves involved in the search for a missing trade caravan. Their quest will put them on the road to the High Pass and see them go over hills and under hills. And this, by the way, this book is including the, good, they have an index, thankfully. It's 160 pages. Let's see, we have a little posting in one of the chat rooms. Hallian's joined in. Welcome, Hallian. Third adventure is Kinstrife and Dark Tidings. A sorrowful discovery along the banks of the Anduin brings the characters to Bjorn's Hall. A terrible crime has been committed, but the culprit has now escaped his captors and fled into the wild. Bjorn charges the adventurers with finding the lawbreaker and bringing him to judgment. But as the company searches for their quarry, they learn that right and wrong are not always as clear-cut as one might hope. The fourth adventure is Those Who Tarry No Longer. The company is honored beyond measure when asked to escort an elf woman across Wilderland to the High Pass. Irme of the House of Gilgalad is heading west to leave the shores of Middle-earth. But the passing of such a bright light under the shadow of the mountains doesn't go unnoticed, and the company is waylaid by an evil spirit. This powerful shade tries to wield Irme's sorrow as a weapon against her. If the adventurers cannot restore her hope, then the spirit will devour a light that has shone since the First Age. And the fifth adventure is A Darkness in the Marshes. Troubled by recent news, Radagast the Brown sends the company west across the great river to seek the counsel of the woodmen of Mountain Hall. There, they receive tidings that lead them south into the Gladden Fields. Eventually, they find and explore the Dwimmerhorn, a dark fastness where a dark plot is hatching. This is a danger beyond the company's ability to defeat alone, and they flee. But in their attempt to return to Woodland Hall, they risk bringing a great evil with them. And the sixth adventure is The Crossings of Selduin. Black treachery shakes the great festivities held in Dale for the gathering of 5 armies. Warriors are poisoned, and the next day brings news of an army approaching from the south. With many of his soldiers sickened by the poison, King Bard turns to the adventurers and sends them to hold the crossings of the river running, for as long as they can. If the enemy host crosses the bridge too soon, then Dale will burn. And the final adventure is The Watch on the Heath. The Battle of Selduin, I keep thinking that's Kelduin, sorry, didn't end the threat to the north. The army menacing Dale was but one of the many threads woven into a foul scheme. As the free folks of the north are enjoying a respite, the plot is secretly coming to fruition among the dreary peaks of the Grey Mountains. An ancient and unstoppable enemy is being summoned out of the frozen wastes. Luckily, not everyone is fooled, and the company is sent to the north by the king of the mountain to investigate the suspicious theft of records held in the chamber of Marzabul under Erebor. Will the adventurers learn about the impending threat in time and find a way to prevent it before it is too late? So that's the main overview of it. I have not had a chance to really go through this much. It's it's usual lovely artwork and layout. Seems just pretty straightforward. Lots of rich content. How useful that content is in the general sense compared to specific to the adventures, I'll have to see that over time. There is a smaller version of the main map that comes with the core set, although this time they've overlaid it with a hex, but without all of the coding. So let's see if there's any quick questions from folks here. Got a little warning about not over spamming the onering.net, so they're trying to see who's watching and who isn't, and looking for anybody to post any questions about that. Oh, Ardemir, come on. Ardemir actually muted because he didn't want to hear anything about the TOR adventures, but the thing is I didn't reveal, all I did is read the overview premise of each adventure. It doesn't go into any great detail other than that. I don't know, it wasn't meant to be a spoiler for you. And apparently someone's complaining, Elpida in the One Ring, saying the problem is I'm broadcasting during the Dragon Con stream. Oh, the choices. Well, here every week, and of course the shows are available for download later. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more, and some of you may already know this from having the One Ring role-playing game yourselves. So some of it may be old news for you, but still surprised how few people have actually bought the One Ring role-playing game. A lot of people who say they're interested have just kind of been a wait and see. They're waiting for more material to be available. And I can kind of understand that, although I must say that it's a pretty straightforward system and pretty easy to adapt any existing campaigns, let's say from Iron Crown Enterprises MERP, or the little bit that was available with Decipher's Lord of the Rings role-playing game. It's pretty straightforward and easy to do. Yeah, Ardemir didn't reveal that much. It was just an overview paragraph of each one. I was mentioning the map, how it had a mini-map. So the two maps, I showed you the early one. The one was the player's map, and this is more the lore master's map. This details areas of difficulty. You see it's color-coded and has different codes in there. And this basically says how much risk and how difficult the place is. And also you can keep in mind the difficulty of travel, so how quickly your group can travel, how weary they will become in the different areas, as opposed to just the plain map that the players could see. It doesn't have any of that coding. So in the back of Adventures in Wilderland, it just has this plain map with the hex overlay for distance, but none of the encoding. That's kind of nice to have that little version handy. Now about the actual core rules, and I've written a couple of reviews on merc.com last year, and this is just kind of a continuation of that. Let's see, some comments in the chat room. Okay, make sure when you're in the chat room that you mention my nickname so that it highlights that you're posting a question to me, just so that I see that it changes color and I know to answer your question. Okay, so this is the core box set of Cubicle 7's The One Ring role-playing game, Adventures Over the Edge of the Wild. It's a box sleeve with 2 core books and the dice, and you can now finally buy the dice separately. And you can use just 6-sided and a 12-sided and just translate them as you wish. They are slightly modified. The 6-sided, you'll see, has a little kind of T-looking rune on the 6, and then the rest is pretty much the same, although there's some color coding for various reasons. The one that's more significant is the 12-sided. There is one of them replaced with the Eye of Sauron symbol, and then the G rune, the Gandalf rune, and those have impact on play. So as I said, you can now buy these in sets of single sets or sets of 3. I definitely recommend doing so because it does slow the game down when you keep having to do one set of dice, share them around between the lore master and the players. And it comes this little tray. Now, the first thing I did when I got this is I modified slightly how this is held in place, because normally that slides out quite easily. I've got some other stuff in here, one of the adventures I made, I think. So it comes out very easily with everything and kind of falls out too easily. So a little modification I made to the slipcover, which I wish they would do in the production, is I add a little Velcro dot. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to see this. See a little black dot inside there? That's a little piece of Velcro. And then on the end of the tray, put the other part of the Velcro. And then that slides in and actually holds it in place, so it doesn't slide out. It holds all the books in place. And that was something that, really easy to do, but it really helped because otherwise they kept sliding out. The 2 books are the Adventurer's book, which is the larger of the 2, and the Lore Master's book. And it's pretty straightforward. The Adventurer's book tells you how to make characters, how to use the basic rules, walks you through the step. Now, one of my criticisms has been, and this isn't just for the One Ring, it's been a trend of the last 15, 20 years of a lot of these newer role-playing games, is layout. Now it's beautifully done. The artwork's nice, and I hope these bindings hold up in a soft cover. I'm a little concerned about that. If I'd had my druthers, I would have preferred hardcover books. The slipcover's nice. It is still possible to have hardcovers and a slipcover, although this is $70, $80, and there's certainly a price point issue there. But I would definitely prefer hardcovers over softcover, and I hope at some point they offer that as an option. So far, they've held up okay, though. As far as slipcovers go, they haven't come apart, haven't had any pages fall out yet, and I don't know if any others have. But I would prefer that over the soft covers, just personal preference. Maybe others like the soft covers. It'd be interesting to know. Again, the artwork's beautiful. There's a nice layout, but the order, for example, when you make a character, you have to do a lot of page flipping, and I detailed this in the article on merc.com. You have to flip from chapter 3 to chapter 5 to chapter 4 to 5 to 3, and you're doing a lot of flipping back and forth, rather than a nice orderly process where, okay, here's step 1, here's the material for that, here's step 2, here's the material for that. And you don't even really get to the character making part really until chapter 3. You have all this early material, which I can understand maybe one chapter of setting material, maybe. But at least the majority of the players I know, there's the lore master and the game master who should prep everything. But a lot of people, when you get a new system in, you want to sit down and the first thing to do is make a character and get playing and then learn the system that way. The lore master will read through as much as possible. But it's nice to have that nice, neat, orderly thing. And I don't blame just Cubicle 7 for this, because as I said, I've seen a lot of trending in a lot of the role-playing game systems the last 15 years or so, with just jumping all over the place, and I haven't quite understood that. And then the other big pet peeve is really lousy or non-existent table of contents and or index. Decipher had no table of contents in the books, and not pretty much. I don't even remember if they had an index in the core rules. And the One Ring at least has a basic index and an okay table of contents. So at least it had something. It's a lot better than Decipher's The One Ring RPG. Apparently, I'm not the only one who felt this way, because just before Tolkien Moot in August, or July, just 2 days before, Cubicle 7 released Adventures Over the Edge of the Wild Index. This is a free PDF downloadable from the Cubicle 7 website. And it is a comprehensive index of the 2 books. And it is 19 pages long. This has been invaluable. Character generation and other resources, rules, looking up all that was a pain in the rear without the index, and it really kind of slowed things down as we were trying to learn the system. So any of you getting the rulebook should definitely download this index, and you'll find it'll make the whole process a lot smoother. And thank you to the Cubicle 7 folks and Francesco and everybody for putting that together and making that available. Ardemir says in the irc.merp.com Merp chat room that in our RPG we have strived to have everything in the character generation in the best possible order. I'm curious what you did to achieve that. We've tried to follow that order as well. It's just that the books aren't really aligned that way, unfortunately. Now, as we play it more and more and make more characters, it starts, you start to know where everything is. It's just not very intuitive and very logically laid out, it seems. Again, like any system, as you play it, you get the hang of it. But it would have been nice if the books were laid out a little better and that the indexes were better. But other than that, the system itself is an enjoyable light system. It's not a heavy-duty system. If you have the spectrum range of, let's say, Rollmaster on one end with tons of charts and tables, etc., or Hero or something like that, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have, I don't know, Paranoia, the old classic Paranoia, or some other very basic systems, or even some of these ones that just use cards or just, rock, paper, scissors. This is more towards the light side than the heavy rules side. It definitely emphasizes ROLE playing over ROLL playing, which is a good thing. And certainly out of the 3 versions of official role-playing games available in Tolkien setting, this has really gotten a lot closer to the right feel of it. Decipher had some of the feel, but the mechanics were really unfinished and clunky. The One Ring feels incomplete, kind of by design. They released it saying, here's the portion we have available, we will release more over time. And the portion that is there is fairly complete, but with the sense of, well, we're waiting for more. There's only so many races / cultures to pick from, so many quote-unquote professions, and so there's this expectation waiting for more material to be more choices. Everything is still based in this Wilderland area and doesn't cover the rest of Middle-earth yet, and still waiting for source material to come out for that. Their original plan was to release 3 core sets and covering each a different area and slightly different time period. They've revised that, and now they're just going to do source material releases like Tales of the Wilderland, where adventure and source material is available in area. So right now they're still focusing on Wilderland, still waiting for material to come out for the rest of Middle-earth, and look forward to that. They're supposed to have, if you want more details about the game system mechanics itself, my overall review would be it's a fairly simple system once you figure out the illogical order of the character generation. It does a good job of promoting a little bit more Tolkien-esque playing. Certainly less than perfect. I have my own role-playing game system for Tolkien called j.r.r RPG. And others, like Ardamir and others, they have their own systems. And so we have our pet peeves about what's lacking, what isn't lacking. But as far as the commercial offering goes in a Tolkien setting, I think Francesco and company, they really did do a good job. And it's well worth checking out and worth the purchase price. So if you're at all interested in role-playing in Tolkien's world, it's worth ordering this and getting it going with your friends. And it isn't too steep a learning curve, especially if you include that index. Take a little time. The character sheets and character generation process, once you understand it, is pretty straightforward. And let's see, the character sheets. Let's see, I'm looking for some color ones here. I've got some black and white photocopied, but I have some color ones as well. Well, I'll just show you one of the black and white ones. Pretty straightforward. You basically have 3 primary attributes: your body, heart, and wits. And then you have a lot of derivative. And these are modified by the culture and path or class or profession that you choose. And they use a lot of little background options based on which of those you pick. Another pet peeve would be that very little is rolled. It's mostly pick lists. So if you love pick lists and just number allocation, then this is for you. If you like a little bit more randomness to it with rolling, then you might not like that quite as much, but it shouldn't affect the overall gameplay. It's just the character generation. Again, kind of limited in the choices right now. Over time, hopefully they'll have a lot more offerings there. For a more detailed review of the system, merp.com, I have the 2 articles there. And a third one I never finished. Maybe I should get that finished and published. That goes into detail. Ardamir says that they have a clickable table of contents in the PDF, but he's noticed that you don't find what you want immediately. And they said that their PC sheet has 3 pages, so apparently they've created their own. Ardamir, had you made that PC sheet available for download, maybe on merp.com or elsewhere? I'm sure other people would really appreciate getting to see that. Might want to consider sharing that. And then I showed you the 2 maps. All the 2 maps, the Lore Master's map, the Player's map, the dice set, the Lore Master's rulebook, and the Adventurer's book all come in that box set here. They all fit in the slipcover. And it's a good, sturdy slipcover. This is not a flimsy one. This is, I don't know, almost quarter-inch thick. So at least the slipcover is nice and sturdy. They've held up really well. I've had one of these a year and the other one about 6 months. And there's no, I mean, you can barely even see any fading on the edges. So the covers have held up really well. The books, you can see, you know, I've been doing marking things and such, and they get well used. And so far, holding up okay. Spine looks all right. They actually, I don't know if it'll show up on here, there's a slight indent on each side to allow for it to lay out properly and not fall apart. Ardamir, anybody else, have you had any problems with any pages falling out or getting loose? Ardamir says that they've had some of the 3-page things available, but they got some negative feedback about the look of the PC sheet, but they're planning to make it look better. So Ardamir, where is that download available so we can add a link to it on the show and let people join in and comment on that? Please let me know. And Ardamir, if I remember correctly, you're in Finland, right? So a little thing that I did, because I'm still waiting for it to come out, and those of you making role-playing game systems, if you can, include a Game Master screen with the release of your game system anytime you can. That's one of the first accessories I always look for, is some way to quickly get to the charts. So I made one last year to get by with Tolkien, Moot, and everything else coming. And so I made my own little Game Master screen, you know, just from excerpts from the PDF version, printed them out, took some, you know, poster board, you know, like kids use for their presentations and such, and then just taped these on, and some of the charts that are used. And this PDF's been available for download on merp.com for over a year now. But they do finally have a Game Master screen in the works and supposed to be released any day now. It's supposed to have been finished, and hopefully it'll be shipping any week now. Hopefully it'll arrive. So we'll see what that's like, and when it arrives I'll let folks know on here. Looks like Ardamir has the download available on ardamard.merp.com. So ARDAMARRED, ardamard.merp.com. So Ardamard is Ardamir's role-playing game system for Tolkien that he's been working on. You can check that out on merp.com. And it's in the download section under Ardamard, and it's the Ardamard PC sheet. Okay, now, quick question, Ardamir. Is this, you're talking about your character sheet for your system, or have you made a character sheet for the One Ring that's 3 pages? Curious about that. And they have it in different file formats at ardamard.merp.com. Let's see, so covered core rules, Neil Stephenson, Wilderland, the box set, the screen. And then the final tidbit here is this December 16th. So the release dates, if I understand correctly, for the Hobbit movies will be December 12th in New Zealand, and then around the 13th in the UK, and then the 14th in the United States will be when the first Hobbit movie is released this year. So Merlyn's is a local gaming / comic book store. It's the largest one in the Inland Empire, Spokane, northern Idaho area, eastern Washington, northern Idaho. It's the largest role-playing game resource available. And the owner and I have been talking about doing a little Hobbit release role-playing game session at Merlyn's, kind of promo thing, of the One Ring. And so we're tentatively scheduled for December 16th, 2 p.m. to close. He closes around 9 or 10 p.m. on Sundays, although it can go longer if things are busy. December 16th, 2 p.m. to close Pacific time, and I'll be putting people through the One Ring adventures. I'm going to try to set up in a way that they're about 30 to 45 minutes per segment, so that people coming in the store can try it out, play a quick character, you know, have a pre-made character, sit down, play it quickly, and then be able to leave in about 30 to 45 minutes, have a short break, and go on the next one. For those who stay, each little segment will be connected in some way. So this allows people to jump in and out, and for those who want to stay for the whole time, 8 hours or so, they can play the whole time. The owner himself wants to play the game. He hasn't played it yet. He's been selling the One Ring. Hasn't sold very well, though, yet, and that's been disappointing. I encouraged him to buy a few copies of the core set, and I did a little promo when he got it, and I, you know, managed 1 or 2 people bought sets right there, but they were gamers I knew from my old gaming group, and I haven't seen The others have still been sitting on the shelves. Nobody else has bought the One Ring role-playing game, even when he had them right out front, and it's slowly migrated to a less obvious place. So that's disappointing. Hopefully with the Hobbit movies, people will start to get more interested in playing something like that. So we'll be doing December 16th a promo, and if I can, I'm going to try to broadcast that live. I'll try to set up a laptop like this at an angle. I don't know how good the audio will be. If I can get the little clip-on mics, maybe I'll do that and have one on the table, and then you'll be able to understand clearly. But we'll actually broadcast it live, and if people have questions about the system as we're playing, at the end of each segment, I can stop and answer a few questions. So if that interests folks, let me know, and we'll see if we can put that together. But tentatively, we are planning on that this year. And more info will be on the Tolkien Scholars and Middle-earth Talk websites, and probably Tolkien Moot as well. So that's pretty much it, unless people have questions. Artemir clarifies that he means that their RPG system has a 3-page character sheet for Artemard. It's not 3 pages for the One Ring, so I'm sorry I was confused about that. And so this is a short show. As I mentioned at the beginning, Michael is not here. He's on the road. He mentioned last week's show that he would be on the road. He probably won't be available for 2 or 3 weeks, probably. I'm talking to a few other people to come on as co-hosts / special guests. So next week, hopefully I'll have someone. We'll see if Professor Chris Siemens available, or maybe I'll have, if Brian can make it. There's a couple other people might have on here for next week. And if you know people you'd like to see on the show, please do let me know. Be happy to, if you have their contact information, be happy to invite them and get some more special guests on here. Now, if you go back to previous shows, you'll see we've had a few. Rtea, the Elvish singer, and Professor Chris Siemens have been previous guests, but those were audio-only shows, and it's only in the last few weeks we've been doing these video shows. And so far, the votes generally show that people want more of these video shows, so we'll keep doing them, even though we're still trying to get the hang. It's kind of affected the flow of the show a little bit as we've had to deal with some of the technical issues, but hopefully we're getting that smoothed out. So any last questions before I wrap up this short version of Middle-earth Radio? Anyone? I'm going to give a moment here for people to respond. And if not, we will call it a wrap. I will make this broadcast available shortly, probably in a day or so, slightly edited with a little bit of music from Rtea beginning the end. This is episode 46, and it is, in case you download this later, it is Sunday, September 2nd, 2012. Episode 46 of Middle-earth Talk. You can download all other previous 45 shows, mostly audio, but some now are available as video, especially the Tolkien Moot and MerpCon convention shows with video, with Michael and with special guests each year at the middleearthtalk.com. And again, most of them are in audio, but there are some videos available. I'd say there's about half a dozen videos. You can get more of the videos from the conventions at tolkienmoot.org. That's tolkienmoot, all one word, .org. So it doesn't look like anybody has any last questions. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap this short little show up. And again, hopefully we'll have some special guests and co-hosts next week. If you have any questions, post them on middleearthtalk.com in the forum there. I've had a few people asking where do they post for show questions and suggestions. That's the middleearthtalk.com URL. I try to watch Middle-earth Radio and merp.com and Tolkien Moot and REAMDE and all the other sites as much as I can. But if you want it for the show, I usually just open up that forum and check. Let me see if anybody on Facebook has made any comments. Doesn't look like it. So we will call that a wrap. And just a quick little disclaimer, this show is neither endorsed, supported, or approved by any of the Tolkien intellectual property holders. That includes the Tolkien estate, which is the family, Tolkien Enterprises, now named Middle-earth Enterprises, which is a Salzance DBA, New Line Cinema, or any of the other large number of licensees of Tolkien intellectual property, role-playing games, movies, promos, etc. And this show is freely available to share under Creative Commons license, and please do tell your friends. We're available on Google Plus Hangout under tolkienscholars@gmail.com. That's how you can join our actual Hangout and join the show itself. Or if you just want to view the streaming, it's the youtube.com/Middle-earth Radio, all one word, no dashes. And you can view the stream live while the show's happening. And then you can post questions to the IRC chat room on irc.merp.com pound MERP chat if you have an IRC client, or go to merp.com and click on chat, or you can go to Middle Earth Talk and click on chat, or you can go to Middle Earth Radio and click on chat, and all of them end up pretty much here. We're also in the OneRing.net's IRC and Geek and Sundry's, geekandsundry.com IRC, and happy to take questions and interact with you there. So this is Hawke wishing you well, wherever you may be. Be well. Namaste.
Lift your voices to the air. Sing of the tears of the moon. Sing of the scorn of the sun. Sing of the scorn of the sun.